Oh, the craziness of this J6 pipe bomb story. This one, I can't, guys. I honestly, I cannot read this story seriously. There's, not to toot my own horn. There's not too many people in this movement that have been more that have covered J6 more than I have. And when I say there's a lot, got to remember there's tens of thousands of people doing what I'm doing right now. There's maybe 100 that I would consider, maybe not even 100, maybe like 24 that I would consider like top notch on J6. Guys like Gary McBride, Ivan Raiklen stayed on top of it. Kara Castronova. I'm trying to think. There's so many that are in my. But anyways, this is something that we've been covering for a very long time, and this makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. So let's get into this. Just the news. Road to finding J6 pipe bomb suspect paved with good intent, with fresh FBI eyes and thorough police work. Thorough police work, guys. That's all it took was thorough police work. 5 years after police discovered pipe bombs, the FBI, reinvigorated by a new investigative team and leadership, finally arrested a suspect connected to the investigation. The arrest came after FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino led a new look into the mountains of evidence collected by the Bureau and its partners, including hundreds of hours of footage, cell phone, and credit card data. Adam Purser's laughing at Ivan Raiklen. Ivan Raiklen's forgotten more about J6 than you know, buddy. Sorry. You might not like him. I mean, he's very contentious. He's very inflammatory. I totally get that. But Ivan Raiklen's forgotten more about J6 than most people. Just think about that. FBI and Justice Department officials stressed that the Bureau obtained no new evidence or tips, but that a fresh look at the case files and data led to a breakthrough. That's a key word right there, guys. No new evidence or tips. The FBI obtained no new evidence or tips. What does that mean? If you didn't obtain any new evidence or tips, that means everything that you're basing this on right now was already in their possession. They already had all of this. We didn't come up with any new evidence. We did not get a tip. This case is 5 years old. We simply, and Deputy Director Bongino spearheaded this effort, went back and said, this is an individual who tried to bomb the United States Capitol. The RNC, the DNC, innocent civilians, and elected legislatures, the epicenter of our constitutional government, said FBI Director Kash Patel. And I do want to remind you guys, and I said this yesterday, I am still very much in both Bongino and Patel's corner. I think those guys are great, and I think they're exactly where they need to be. And if you get rid of the idea of like you want to see Adam Schiff and Barack Obama and John Brennan and all these people in handcuffs right away, and you look at the lower level stuff that they're doing, the foot soldiers, the real people that are doing the harm to this country, that are perpetuating the deep state's mission at the lowest levels possible, and you work your way up. They've done fantastic. They have done fantastic. Doesn't mean you can't scrutinize the shit out of this. The newly filed criminal complaint shows that the FBI carefully analyzed the credit card purchases and bank records to isolate the components allegedly used to manufacture the bombs. The FBI relied on a bank checking account and 6 different credit cards associated with the suspect to break the case. Notably, Brian Cole Jr. appears to have compiled some of the materials the FBI alleges he used to construct the bombs long before the 2020 presidential election. The Bureau traced purchases of components that matched those used in the 2 bombs to stores across Northern Virginia, both in 2019 and 2020 ahead of January 6. Cole allegedly continued to purchase bomb-making materials after January 6, 2021, adding fresh mystery to the case and the suspect's motivations. Quote, what links does this individual have to anybody who's in this network? Who's supporting him? Is he tied to, any political movement, any political people? Is he tied to anybody, on the Hill? Is he tied to anybody that I think, is probably one of the big questions people want to know, said former chief of U.S. Capitol Police Steve Sund. Is he being funded? Was he being indoctrinated by anybody you know? I think the link of his network is going to be a very important next step in finding out, some of these answers. The criminal complaint indicates that Cole works in the office of a bail bondsman in Virginia, Brian Cole Sr., who works in the industry in Tennessee. His company works to, quote, free illegal immigrants from ICE facilities per the Daily Weimar. Cole Sr. also enlisted Ben Crump after he accused a local prosecutor of discrimination and racism. Okay. Let's play this one little clip because it's hilarious to watch Jake Tapper call Brian Cole a white man.
Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an
30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs. Wouldn't Jake Tapper have loved if that was actually true? But again, I don't think this was the guy. I really don't. I'm trying to think before I go crazy on this story. Let's dive into the New York Post 2 days ago, excuse me. Brian Cole of Virginia identified as DC pipe bomb suspect. They call him a Chihuahua obsessed, Crocs loving, quote unquote autistic like 30-year-old who lives with his parents. Brian Cole Jr. was known as a recluse, but was regularly seen walking his pocket-sized pup to and from the local 7-Eleven. Quote, he would wear shorts all winter long. No matter how cold it was, he would be outside in shorts walking, and he would wear red Crocs. Well, he got rid of the shorts, got some jeans, and got rid of the red Crocs, apparently, because he's not wearing shorts or red Crocs in that picture, but that's okay. We would always just comment, like, how is he in shorts? It's 20 degrees out in his red Crocs, walking with his dog all winter long. We all knew him as the guy that walked the Chihuahua. Okay. He doesn't talk. He doesn't talk to anybody. He's very antisocial. He keeps to himself. He's very introverted, very, very introverted. The guy that I know likes to walk his dog is pretty short and has really short legs, like uncommonly short legs. I would think that a gait analysis would be very easy to either rule him out or confirm him because his legs are uncommonly short. It's almost like they're trying to get out in front of this, not get out in front of, but lay the foundation for debunking the Steve Baker story at the Blaze. And I don't know if Steve Baker's story is correct or not. I've followed that story. I've listened to some of the shows that Baker and the other Blaze personalities have done with Kyle Seraphin and Steve Friend. I tend to have a lot of give credibility to Kyle Seraphin and Steve Friend and Steve Baker on this, because again, Steve Baker is another one of those people, by the way. When I was saying people, there aren't many people that have done more coverage of J6. Steve Baker is definitely one of those people. So I want to make sure to give him props there. But okay, so this story is absolutely bonkers. So let's go back to Just the News, okay? Because Just the News has some decent reporting on this. So again, I want to reiterate. Oh, not sharing that tab. I want to reiterate. The Bureau obtained no new evidence or tips, meaning they've had this since before the Kash Patel regime, probably back to January of 2021 when they did all this. So they analyzed credit cards, purchases, and bank records. So they had this information. They had credit cards and bank records. But if you read the report that they outlined, me and Alpha read it on SitRep on Thursday night, and I think we read some of it on Friday's Badlands Daily. But if you go back, they had the cell phone data too. So this guy's cell phone data was pinging on the same route at the same time that this guy was walking along on the CCTV footage. Like, what more did the FBI need to pursue this man? You've got his cell phone. Hey, look, this guy's walking across here at 8:54 or 7:54 p.m. Hey, look, this guy's cell phone data, this other guy, completely separate guy, his cell phone data at 7:54 p.m. says that he's right next to him. But it's funny, in the video, there's only one guy. Maybe they're the same guy. No, they can't be the same guy. This is a black, short, autistic guy that lives in his mom's basement. That is a highly trained professional that's evaded the world's foremost law enforcement agency for 5 years. They can't be the same guy. The autistic 30-year-old black guy living in his mom's basement, that guy would get caught in 2 seconds because he'd do dumb shit like bring his cell phone when he went to go plant the bomb or make the purchases on credit cards. Can't be that guy. Do you guys, like, I know I'm being totally facetious here, but do you not understand how stupidly retarded this is? This guy evaded the FBI for 5 fucking years. This was the whole narrative of January 6th. This is what enabled January 6th to happen. You know, Thomas Massey says that there was trucks en route with hundreds more barricades to put up around the Capitol to help reinforce the Capitol, right? To help reinforce the perimeter of the Capitol. Oh, but guess what? Those barricades couldn't make it through the police block that was set up, the cordon that was set up around these bombs. Shocking how that happens. And then how many of those officers that were on duty at the Capitol got called away to go set up the cordon around the pipe bombs at 2 different locations, separate locations? It's a lot of officers, a lot of logistics that had to be moved around, personnel that had to be diverted. And so they were short-staffed at the Capitol, which allowed people to just walk in. Yeah. They got the guy's license plate. They got the license plate at the crime scene or in the area. Pissed off cat says he's a patsy. I don't know that he is a patsy. And I'll explain that in a second. He might have actually been the person that did it, but he was not. I don't think he did this on his own. So here's the thing that's really interesting about this. And me and Alpha were talking about this on Thursday night. This guy has he was buying these pipes, 1-inch by 8-inch pipes, and somehow the credit card statements get itemized purchases. Okay, fair enough. It's weird. Somebody had told me that his wife showed him how you can do it, and so okay, fair enough. Maybe they can look at your credit card purchase statements and be able to get itemized numbers all the way back like 2 years. My friend Cody Austin, Moose's dad. Moose is like the greatest freaking dog ever. I love that dog. But he messaged me the other day and said that his friend that works in, let me read this. Let me read this. This is worth it because saying that these purchases come all the way back from 2019 does not make much sense. He said, so when I left, it was like 90 days at a low risk store, meaning that they retained the records, purchase records, surveillance, like all the data for 90 days. Depending on the threat level of the store, the Phoenix stores had videos stored for like 9 months. While I was at Home Depot from 2004 to 2019, we had switched camera systems like twice. Video storage is all based off of how big your server is and how much it can hold. From my friend who did asset protection for Home Depot for many years, I don't believe there's any way that they could have gotten a video from 5 years ago. You probably get a lot of messages. Okay, so anyways. So they didn't get new evidence, so they had all this. So is it possible that they got this stuff from if in 2021, is it possible that they got purchase receipts and stuff from 2019? Yeah, sure. It's possible. It's that's not the crazy part to me. Here's the crazy part to me. Let me pull this back up on the other way right there. So this guy is buying things to make pipe bombs in 2019 and 2020. I think it was like June of 2020, November of 2020, and I think June of 2019. He's buying these things that are allegedly being used to make pipe bombs. He buys the pipes, he buys the end caps, he buys some steel wool as like an igniter, which, by the way, there's many better ways to ignite than steel wool, but fair enough. He buys some wire, he buys the 2 clocks, the two, egg timers, 60-minute egg timers. Okay. This guy's a recluse, lives in the suburbs. His neighbors keep tabs on him and everything else. You're telling me for this many years or for this amount of time, this guy has been kind of planning this, and by the way, I'm not saying he's planning J6. I'm saying he's planning on making pipe bombs for whatever reason. You're telling me this guy's never once tried to detonate them? There's no records of anybody complaining about him detonating pipe bombs, going out in the woods and blowing shit up. Usually there's some sort of a history here. Oh, but they weren't actually viable pipe bombs. Remember, they had black powder-like components, the components of black powder. Remember, they only had the components. They didn't have the actual black powder. They were not viable pipe bombs. And this is something Bongino knows, so I'm a little disappointed in this because he knows that these devices likely came from some sort of a three-letter agency's training arsenal. But now all of a sudden they're viable pipe bombs. He planted them. He's been planning this for 3 years. He even was planning it before anybody knew about J6 by buying them in November of 2020. J6 wasn't a thing until December 18th when President Trump said, let's go to the Capitol and make our voices heard. So there you go. None of this makes fucking sense. None of it. None of it. And the timing of this is all surrounding this U.S. Capitol police officer who was accused by Baker and the Blaze, or not accused, but, they put out evidence that it was her, the gait analysis, the proximity to the guy whose actual Metro card was used following J6. They just happen to be next door neighbors. Go figure. And, oh, by the way, she's also the U.S. Capitol police officer that was firing pepper balls, frozen pepper balls, expired pepper balls that were doing actual damage as if they were 68 caliber rounds fired at 450 feet per second because they did not disintegrate because they were expired and frozen. It was very cold that day. I remember very vividly how cold it was in D.C. on that day. She's up there in the rafters shooting down. She's the training officer for that type of stuff. And she's up there popping away. She lives next door to the guy whose Metro card was used as the egress to escape. Kyle Seraphin, as an FBI agent, is put on that guy's house to surveil it. And when he says, hey, let's go make contact with this guy, they say, no, do not make contact. And, oh, by the way, you're off the case. Get out of there. That day, they removed him from surveilling that guy's apartment next door to the U.S. Capitol police officer. And, oh, by the way, where is that Capitol police officer working now? A little three-letter agency known as the CIA. But it's totally the 30-year-old black autist living in his mom's basement in Virginia. Totally him, guys. I mean, this is... It's totally him because he confessed. Here it is. Fox News. D.C. pipe bomb suspect admitted to planting the devices, expressed doubts about 2020 election outcome. Nobody is saying that this guy is MAGA, by the way. His dad runs a bail bonds company that is freeing illegal immigrants from ICE. But he's totally an election-denying MAGA Republican now. The accused D.C. pipe bomber has been speaking with investigators for hours, admitting he planted the devices and expressing doubts about the outcome of the 2020 presidential election, says a source close to the investigation. Okay. The explosive devices were placed near the Republican and National and DNC committee, whatever. Brian Cole Jr. is scheduled to make a federal court appearance later Friday for a first appearance before a magistrate. Now, Cara Castronova was at that hearing for Lindell TV, and she put out a video 9 minutes long. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Cara Castronova, she's a colleague over at Gateway. She does great work on J6. She's in DC, so she sat through a lot of these cases, and she's been in the courtroom. Tremendous source on all things J6. So check her out. A second source tells Fox News that the suspect's possible motivation is just one piece of information developed early in an active, ongoing investigation. But the suspect's statements about the 2020 election and his apparent support for President Donald Trump may offer a hint at a possible motive. Fox News, you are so garbage. You are so garbage. MAGA Republicans, MAGA Republicans, MAGA Republicans. This story absolutely reeks. Absolutely reeks. One thing Kara Castronova did say during that arraignment was that the family, she said, genuinely looked absolutely shocked. Like they had no idea. No idea. Same thing with him, that he looked, autistic. Okay. I mean, I don't believe any of this. Now, do I think he planted the bombs? Very well could have. Very well could have. Did he act on his own? Absolutely not. I don't think there's any possible chance this guy acted on his own. I want to go through this thread here. This was put out by Travis Hawley. The FBI has arrested Brian Cole Jr. of Woodbridge, Virginia for the pipe bomb incident. Let's do some open source intelligence using publicly available information to uncover the digital breadcrumbs of this suspect who is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And I want to scroll down. This is all, the pictures of him and everything. These are some of his email addresses, and that's going to be relevant because it's going to be used to identify accounts that he's signed up for. Interestingly, his email, Cole Brian, and then they have a little redacted part for his personal PII, has been deleted entirely and has not been logged into since March 27th of 2023. Looking at the breached dark web information, only partially redacted due to public interest, shows a pattern of patriotic USA, Patriotism, America, and military-like Delta One passwords and usernames across the web. And then this is the craziest one. I am hot for the number 4, COCK. I'll let you guys spell that out. I_am_hot_for_COCK appears to have been his username associated to his email, Cole Brian, redacted, at gmail.com, that was involved in the 2016 hacking of the Adult Friend Finder sex and swingers hookup site. So 9 years ago, when this guy was 21, he was apparently hot for male chickens. And he went on Adult Friend Finder's site to try and find male chickens because he was hot for male chickens. Brian Cole has at least 2 accounts on Gaia Online, an anime-themed social networking and forum-based website launched in 2003. Jump down here. And this totally, by the way, guys, this totally looks like a real alpha male guy right here. This guy is totally an alpha male MAGA Republican playing with anime, hot for cock. Yeah, I said it, whatever. Yeah, totally MAGA right there, guys. Gaia Online. The suspect appears to be an avid gamer. His emails are registered to various games accounts, including Evany, Next Gen, Game Tuts, Gaia Online, EA, MPGH, Game Cheats, etc. These are the avatars. Look at that. That's totally a MAGA avatar right there. Totally a MAGA avatar right there. Evany kind of looks like League of Legends. I play League of Legends. I like League of Legends. But it's nothing like this game at all. At all. It's yeah. I was able to acquire 5 older IP addresses associated. Okay, whatever. Skip through that. Brian Cole was looking for pen pals online sometime before 2015 when his account was part of a data breach. He's clearly an avid gamer and into things like fantasy and anime. He had an account with Dueling Network, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh simulator. He's been using the Delta moniker across gaming websites for over a decade. On June 9th, 2012, he created the Twitter account Revivalist for USA. Appears crime runs in his family, and then got a whole bunch of driving violations right here. Not crime. I'm not worried about. This guy got rolled up. I guess it's his brother. Yeah, his brother got rolled up for some marijuana charges and stuff. That's no big deal to me. Now, his dad is a little interesting. His father, James Jerome Cole, 13 years ago on YouTube, was talking about being a bail agent. His father appears to be, maybe ironically, the president of Free U bail bonds. His father's email is registered to the following 83 bail bond domains. Now, here's where it gets interesting. According to open sources, his father had or has a 2019 federal tax lien of $266,000. Another one for $48,000. This is the key right here, I think. I think this is the key. These bail bonds things. Another tip for $30,900. Or another tip, another tax hold. That was in 2015. And $48,000 in 2016. And then $266,000 in 2019. So here's what I think happens. And this is just my opinion. He very well may have planted these bombs, these fake bombs. He might have done it. But I think he was groomed in these gaming chat rooms. If you need to see how that works, go check out BX on X's work. It's ironic mentioning BX and Kyle because they butt heads like crazy over all this. But go check out BX on X's work. She does phenomenal work on Order of 9 Angles, 764, and all that stuff. And then think about this. What if Brian Cole Jr. was groomed to do this? He was told that if you do this, your father's tax liens will go away. And by the way, you will never get caught. You won't get caught. Because how else do you explain the world's foremost law enforcement agency being like, yeah, it's totally not the guy whose cell phone was tracked along the same exact path that we have the closed circuit television footage from? Totally wasn't that guy. The 30-year-old autist black man living in his mom's basement was able to dodge the FBI in the largest FBI operation conducted on American soil, by the way. The J6 rollout, I mean, they were pulling people in Alaska off of pedophiles to go after J6ers. They were pulling people off of child sex crimes to go after people who were waved into the Capitol and walked around. But the guy that planted bombs where Kamala Harris, the vice president-elect, was in the building and had Secret Service walking around with bomb dogs that would have picked this up, totally didn't pick it up. Guys, this story is the worst psyop in the history of this country. Mark my words on this. This arrest right here. Now, granted, there could be a lot more that comes out on it. And I really hope that Cash and Bongino go all the way on this. Don't puss out on this, guys. Go all the way on this. Because if that's the case, the last 4 years of the FBI lying to us about this and using this narrative to go after thousands of American citizens, they're corrupt beyond repair. It cannot be fixed. It cannot be fixed if this is true, if this is what happened. If they had everything on this guy and chose not to go after it. This is the biggest story out right now, guys. You know, I think it was on OnlyLands a couple weeks ago or whatever, and John was like, why are you so fascinated by the pipe bomb story? This is why. Because it's been an absurd idea that they couldn't get this guy. When you had him on the park bench checking his cell phone and somehow they tell us that AT&T, remember, the FBI lied to us. Christopher Wray, Jill Sanborn, all these people lied to us and told us that guy, his cell phone data was corrupted. AT&T told them it was corrupted. AT&T said, we never said any such thing. But they lied to us and told us it was corrupted. What else have they lied about? How's Ray Epps doing? Remember the New York Times piece where they came out and said, oh, he whispered into Ryan Samsel's ear, they're just trying to do their jobs. That's a lie. It's clear as day on the video. He says, we need more people. But the FBI came out, or excuse me, the New York Times came out and said, we interviewed Ryan Samsel, or we heard the tapes where Ryan Samsel said, oh, Ray Epps just whispered in my ear, hey, they're just trying to do their jobs. Give them a break. Go up there and tell them thank you for your service. You guys are the best. No, he whispered in Ryan Samsel's ear, the backwards MAGA hat guy, we need more people. And then Ryan Samsel got in through the gate and went over and helped the cop that got knocked down. He didn't push it. Well, he did kind of push it. He went and tried to help the officer. But what else have they been lying to us, right? Guys, J6, man, 2020 election, J6, it all goes hand in hand. COVID, all of it. All of it. All right, I spent a lot of time on this, and I did not plan on spending that much time on that. But, man, that is such an important story. That is such an important story, guys. All right, let's jump into this one here. From AP, Admiral says there was no kill them all.